We're live. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Personality Pick, where we interview your favorite mixed martial artists and mixed martial arts media personalities. And this week, we're back with PFL lightweight and playoff contender, Cassius Clay Collard. Clay, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for asking, brother.
All right, all right. So first and foremost, congrats on that big win last time out against Stevie. How did you feel in there? Did anything surprise you at all? And in your head, would you do anything different?
So, we kind of expected the fight to go that way. I knew he was going to try to get me down, hold me down, wrestle me down. He put me in his most dangerous position, which I drilled getting up to that 4-point stance and shaking him off about 10,000 times. So, we were well prepared. And we got the finish, which put me as number one seed leading into the tournament. So that's always a bonus, you know. I figured the fight would go like that. It was just a matter of time before I, got to work and caught him with a clean shot, and that's what happened. So.
Yeah, I feel like that fight went completely different than how your first season fight against Yamato went. What would you say is the biggest difference between the two? Obviously that striking from Yamato and those kicks were a big factor.
Yeah, so Yamato's defense on his feet, his striking defense, like I really had to try to trick him to land shots. Like you saw it. Burgos wrestled him the whole time because that fool kicks hard. He's dangerous on the feet, and he was coming at Burgos. He was coming at him. So you saw Burgos take him down, which Burgos, he likes to say he's a banger, but that Yamato kid's super defensive. He's hard to hit. He's hard to land clean shots on, and so I think that was the biggest difference. Is Stevie Ray's defensive striking wasn't quite as sound as Yamato's.
Yeah, and a lot of people thought that fight would have went a little bit differently just because of the sheer size difference between the two of you and Yamato. But the kid showed that he was tough and he was up for the task. A lot of people were saying that coming from the Chinese regional scene and the Asian regional scene in general, that fighters coming out of that side don't really show the best just because of the quality of competition. But man, he did get it. He didn't get it done, but he looked better than what people expected. So props to him.
The kid's 20 years old and has got 30 fights. So
yeah,
his future is extremely bright in this sport. It's just a matter of time before he needs a little bit of boxing, a little bit of jiu-jitsu. I think if it would have been a little more sound in jiu-jitsu, and was able to get away from Burgos and things, it might have been a different story. So just a few more things. He's young. He'll figure it out.
100%. Now, speaking of Shane Burgos, semifinals. Talk to me about how camp is going and how your preparation's going.
So, we're feeling good. We're feeling confident. I'm hoping that we get that exciting fight that everybody's looking for, where we go out there and we stay on our feet and we, trade blows. After watching him with Yamato, man, I think he's gonna try to freaking jock sniff me. You know what I'm saying? I think he's gonna try to wrestle hump me. So we're prepared. We're ready. He wants to try to take me to the ground. I got a few tricks for him. So I'm hoping he comes out and we can give the fans what they want to see, because that's the type of fighter I am. I'm ready to give the fans what they want. So.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the fans were looking forward to a potential matchup between the two of you guys, and now that it has come to fruition, and in somewhat of a weird way, we can call it. we just saw that happen a couple days ago where Mobley got injured and someone had to replace him when Chris Wade. So a similar situation with Burgos here coming in. Did you uh, did it catch you by surprise at all that he was able to step in and that the what went down? Because a lot of I'll say a lot of us in the like the media side, when we were watching that House Manfio fight, we were all a little bit puzzled as to what was going on there. What are your thoughts about that?
So I mean, they're good friends. I understand that, but I mean, you signed up in the tournament together. Like you're both in the tournament. So somewhere down the line, you're gonna have to fight each other, and you got to put your feelings aside and show up and perform well. And I don't think they did that. I think they brought their love for each other and their feelings for each other into the cage. So PFL made the decision. Um, I stand by my promotion. Like Raush, I think the computer system had him throwing 4 punches in the first round. Like, come on, dude, you're 4 punches. I throw that in the first 4 seconds. First 2 seconds, I throw more than 4 punches. So, um, it's on them. It's not on anybody else besides them. They should have showed up and they should have showed out. That's what we're paid to do. We're paid to show up and fight. I don't care if it's I was in one of my interviews. I was saying like me and my little brother have harder sparring matches than that. Like my little brother before that last camp, he left the gym with 2 black eyes. He judo tossed me on my head. Like we were going at it harder than that sparring. So yeah, they move Schultz out. They move Bruno up, and they get their poster boy back in the tournament. And who better to welcome him into the playoffs than
Oh
me?
yeah.
And I've been there was hints about me fighting him in the first fight of the tournament, and then I
Uh-huh.
ended up with Yamato. So this is something I've been looking forward to. This is something I'm prepared for. This is something I believe the fans want to see. So I like beating up, but come over to this is my house. PFL is my house, bro. So
I
you
love
can
it.
come over here and you can roll up into the fights in your Bugatti or your Porsche or whatever the hell you're rolling. I'll take the bus. I'll stay at the hotel. I'll show up and I'll whoop your ass. You know what I'm saying? So
Now, I mean, who are your main training partners for this camp? And do you feel like you switched up anything from your ordinary preparation?
so I mean, this year's been different altogether. This year, he's an old coach, but I've got back with him. I still have a small stable of guys. I have my boy Trace and my boy Matt. Shout out Trace and Matt. They uh, I think they're still amateur. You know what I'm saying? They're not even pros, but they show up and let me work and give me good rounds and they push me. Even though they're just beginning in the sport. And then of course I always have my brother. So those are my boy Bullfrog too. He shows up. He's been being fat ass lately. He's like up to almost 200 pounds. I'm like, come on, bro, we need to get back to work. But
You're making
yeah,
me feel a little bit fat. I'm at like 200.
yeah. I mean, he's not a 200-pound guy though.
I get
Uh,
you.
but so yeah, I still got a small stable of guys. There's other people that are coming during morning jujitsu and stuff like that. They give me great work. My boy Brian has been drilling with me a lot. We were just drilling yesterday and going over scenario after scenario. So
Mhm,
still small. I mean, I don't have a huge team. I don't believe I need a huge team. I have
mhm.
good people in my corner. So
That's awesome. Now, on a lighter note, uh, let's get into the nitty-gritty. How did your martial arts career really begin? Like, what sparked your interest with mixed martial arts? Was it a specific facet of martial arts, whether it was kickboxing, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, what piqued your interest?
So I've been a fighter my whole life. I started wrestling at like 6 years old. That was my first love. Everybody calls me a striker, but little do they know, you know. So I started wrestling at a very young age. Shortly after that, I started boxing competitively, and I've always competed in combat sports my whole life. Um, my mom's a huge fight fan, loves to watch fights, and that season of The Ultimate Fighter with Stephen Bonner and Forrest Griffin,
Oh,
my mom was watching the show. What wasn't me, wasn't my dad. My mom was into the show, and I remember watching that show with her. From episode one on every I don't know if they were on Thursdays or Wednesdays or whenever the show aired.
mhm.
I'm like, Mom, the Ultimate Fighter's on. So me and my mom watched that Ultimate Fighter show, and I was about 11, 12 years old, and I remember telling her, like, I'm gonna do this one day. I'm gonna be a fighter. I'm gonna do this one day. And years went by. I focused on wrestling. I was boxing,
Oh,
and then
there we go.
I turned 18, and there was a fight in my hometown. Um, like a week after my 18th birthday, I was still in high school. I took the fight. I had one amateur fight as far as mixed martial arts go. I knocked the kid out in 12 seconds.
Wait, how do they even sanction that if you're 18?
Well, I walked out, and I went to hit him, and he stuck his hand out to like touch gloves with me, and I had to stop myself, and I like stepped back, and I like high fived him, and then I just boom, lights out. And then I remember I was like, Dad, I want to fight again. Like, find me another fight. Find me another fight. And so the very next weekend, he found me a fight in Moab, Utah. And they had no amateurs on the card. And they're
Mhm.
like, I got a pro at your weight. And I'm like, let's do it. I remember my mom freaking out, like, you shouldn't go pro. You're not ready, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, Dad, line it up. I want to fight. I want to fight. And I ended up knocking that kid out in the second round. And I'm like, Dad, I want to fight again. I didn't get beat up. I'm fine. I want to fight again. The very next weekend, he lined me up another fight in Vernal, Utah. So we went out to Vernal. I remember showing up, and I went up a weight class. So I was fighting in
Uh-huh.
170. I walked in, I ate a Subway sandwich or something like that. Sponsor me, Subway. No. uh, so I ate a
No
Subway
way.
sandwich. I got on the scale. I was still 4 or 5 pounds underweight, and the guy was massive, bro. Cut way. He was way bigger than me. I remember walking out to the fight. Everybody's like, "That skinny white boy is gonna get his ass kicked," And I ended up knocking him out in the second round. I hit him with a liver shot and crumpled him. But he kicked the shit out of my legs. He kicked my legs about 500 times, and I was a little beat up, so I couldn't fight the very next weekend.
You wanted to
But
make
yeah,
it 4
so
weekends in a row.
3 week back to back to back. That was the start of my career. Was fight, fight, fight. Took a couple months off. I ended up fighting a brown belt after that,
Mhm.
and I'd never done jiu-jitsu. I'm 18. I wrestled. I boxed. So a few months later, I'm fighting this brown belt, and he takes me down, and I just get up like a wrestler would, hit a
Mhm.
stand up, and he jumped on my back and started choking me, and I'm like, well, what's going on? So he actually ended up choking me out, and I remember after that fight, I was like, man, I better learn how to do some of this
Mhm.
other stuff. I can't just go in there and brawl everybody. If they're
I
if they're
can knock
dumb
everybody
enough
out
to
if you're trying to take me down.
if they're dumb enough to stand with me, or they're good enough to get me to the ground, they got good jujitsu. Like back in the day, you were probably gonna get me pretty easy, but um, Yeah, I started. I'm from a very small town where MMA is pretty much non-existent at the
Uh-huh.
time. Like there were no gyms. There was I was going into my wrestling room with my dad and holding mitts and my brothers and just I was looking up YouTube videos on jujitsu and so I'm like, man, I better start learning how to like do some of this other stuff. I started traveling. I would just find a gym, find a seminar, take a little bit of time off work for the weekend, and just I started traveling to seminars and here and there and anywhere I could find a place to learn. Um,
That's
until I
awesome.
actually got with a couple coaches. So
It's crazy just to think about how your career started and just those 3 back-to-back stoppage wins and on 3 back-to-back weekends, let alone. You don't really hear stories like that at all. I mean, most people, they start with, like, a jujitsu competition or, like, a kickboxing semi-contact and
I
go with
got
that
I
one
got
up.
I got thrown right into the fire, man.
Oh,
Right
yeah.
from the get go. Yeah, one amateur fight. I went pro. I remember that my third fight. My mom watched the video and was like, "Don't fight him, don't fight him." And I went home. I was out of town, so I could. It was back, but I still had a flip phone, so I
Mhm.
couldn't look up the video. But I ended up getting back in town and I looked up the video and I'm like, I could beat that guy, you know. So my dad actually set up the fight. He was coming home from a wrestling tournament and my mom was sleeping in the car and he drove past the exit to get home
Mhm.
and my mom's like, where are we going? You missed our exit, you know. And he's like, oh, your son's fighting tonight. And I remember I showed up. My mom don't sugarcoat nothing. I showed up and she's like, "You're gonna get your ass beat. You shouldn't have took this fight." Blah 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 blah. You know, I'm like, "Whatever, mom." But we ended up getting the win, so that was good.
Oh my goodness. I mean, just thinking about the story, thinking back to it, it brings out a lot of laughs too. It's the stuff that you go through that gets you to the point where you are, and then you look back at it and you're like, oh my goodness, how did I would not let my own son do something like that to start off back to back weekends, but I guess you were pretty damn good if you're knocking people out in the first and second
Well,
round
I'm
on back to
built
back
different,
weekends.
baby. I'm
Yeah.
built different.
I mean, that's why your nickname is Cassius, or is it the Crimson Chin? I don't know.
You know, we got a lot of nicknames.
Oh yeah,
We've earned
oh
a
yeah.
lot of.
For those that don't know, we we always go back and forth about this Crimson Chin nickname from media, so we're still trying to iron things out. We'll see what happens with it.
Cassius
Uh,
Clay, the Crimson Chin. You just gotta add them all together, bro.
there you go. I think we have to do that.
Yeah.
Now, what do you feel like?
I'm gonna get a Crimson Chin shirt made for the next one. I'm gonna walk. Oh,
Dude,
maybe I'll make two of them. Get you one, brother. What
yes, that would
size
be
are you?
gold.
XL.
I'm an extra large. Yeah,
All right. Yeah, we're gonna get some shirts made, bro. I'll
I'm
see you out
down.
there. You gonna be in New York?
I'm gonna do my best to make it out there.
All
Yeah,
right. Well, if you do, I got a shirt for you. Hopefully.
I appreciate it. Now, before we get going here, what is one thing you would tell young Clay 10 years ago? I know this one hits deep.
Yeah, no, man. I tell him to stay focused, not let the outside riffraff and everyday life get in the way of your goals. I would tell him to keep your circle small with like-minded people.
Mhm.
Um, and I just tell him to keep believing in himself. You know, you're capable.
Amazing. Amazing. Clay, it was a pleasure speaking to you. Final message for the fans out there ahead of your fight.
Well, I guess I got to give a couple shout outs, right?
Oh
Uh,
yeah. Oh yeah. The floor is yours.
so first off, my girl always gets mad I never shout her out. So Alina,
You have
I
to.
love you. You're the bomb.com. Duke Preps, thank you for keeping my nutrition on point. Relentless Empire, you always got my back. You're always supporting me. I appreciate you guys. Dr. Tim Goodwin, man, is a lifesaver. Goodwin Chiropractic. So I got to give him a shout out. Who else? Zombie Sports Co. Keeping my skin healthy. You don't want to get no rashes and stuff.
Mhm.
By the way, I cut myself on the pool before my. If you see me in weigh-ins, I got a little red mark on my belly. I dove in across the pool. I scraped myself on the pool. Somebody was commenting like, "Oh, look at that dude's got ringworm." Like, no, I do not. I'm a very clean, cleanly person. Whoever wrote that shit can fuck off. Yeah,
It still hurts
don't
though.
be jumping on, tuning in, keyboard warrior talking shit. You don't even know what's going on. Go fuck yourself. Sorry, getting a little
That's like,
weird here.
no, don't even worry about it. Hey, it's,
But like, come on, man, you're
all
gonna
things
jump
go
on
here.
and call me out like, "Oh, look at that dude's ringworm, gross." Like, nah, fool, nah, that I ain't that guy, buddy. I ain't the one, buddy. So yeah,
No,
Zombie
that
Sports Co. Shout out Zombie Sports Co. 4-7, my gym. You know, they're amazing people and amazing coaches and amazing staff. So, if I forgot you, like, be more relevant, I guess. And yeah, that's about it.
way to leave it off. Way to leave it off. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in and for being so active in the comment section. I'm sure I'll get back to everybody. But until next time, I will see y'all later.
All right, thank you, brother.
Good seeing you, Clay.